Good morning, Sycamores. My name is Allison Hayes, and I serve as the Associate Director in the Office of Student Conduct and Integrity. I know a lot of folks are making masks these days, and I just want to show you how I do it. A couple quick tips to start off is to first wash your fabric. I always use 100% cotton fabric because it's pretty predictable, pretty easy to work with, and pretty readily available at most places, and even in your sheets. If you have an old set of sheets, you could certainly use that without having to buy any fabric. The second thing is iron your fabric. Really make sure all the wrinkles are out. It's as straight and as organized as possible, so that you don't have any misjudgments on your measurements or anything like that. Next, let's talk about cutting and measuring. I am an avid crafter, so I have a rotary cutter, a metal ruler, and a cutting mat. You can certainly use scissors. That's not a problem. Once you get your fabric washed and ironed, you're going to want to cut off what they call the selvage edge. This is, kind of the edge of the fabric where they've tied everything together. You can tell it has a little bit of a different texture to it, and it just doesn't work very well for sewing. I've been using the Sarah Maker tutorial. All you have to do is just Google Sarah Maker mask pattern with filter. That's one that I've been using. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, but I've made a few adaptations and I'm going to show you them now. Sarah's tutorial showed sewing these two pieces together and just creating basically a small hole to put the filter through, but I found that difficult and cumbersome to put that filter through. So what I did is I just take the wrong side of the fabric up, roll the right side of the fabric over, and then just iron down a small flap right here. What that flap is going to do is you're going to sew that down, and that's just going to create a nice neat edge for the inside of your mask. And then you can more easily put in the filter of your choice. The next step is to take your fabric, flip it to the right side up, and then fold it over in a small portion here, and then fold this portion over here. And you're going to iron that down, obviously making sure it's square. Iron that down, and that'll lead us to our next step. So now it's time to begin sewing. I threaded my machine with some gray thread, but you can feel free to use any color thread. It's a great way to add some personality, especially if you have kind of a boring fabric. So right now we've got the machine all lined up. Do a few steps backwards and then push it forwards. These are the elastic straps that I will use as the ear loops. The tutorial called for 7 inches, but this elastic, I don't know if you can tell, is pretty loose, pretty open weave. So I cut it down to 6 because that was a more comfortable fit. And feel free to just use kind of trial and error based on the elastic you can find, because it's in pretty short supply these days. Another helpful tip is to singe the ends of your elastic. Sometimes elastic can have a tendency to fray just because of the materials that it's made out of. So just a light singe, I burned that one a little bit, can really help your elastic stay together and your mask last longer. Another helpful tip is to make sure you're pinning. Lots and lots of pins. It helps keep everything in place, and it may seem like it takes extra time and extra effort, but it really is beneficial in the end. Alrighty, we've sewn the elastic in. I went ahead and flipped everything back right side out and have folded over one of the pleats and ironed it down. It's just good to start with one of the pleats that's really straight and really easy, and then you can kind of follow along after. I'll be placing pins in each of these spots to create 3 pleats to make the mask expandable. Now we're all pinned up and ready to sew everything together. Alrighty, now that you've sewn your elastic in, you pin and sew in pleats, about 1/2 inch each, and then you want to finish by sewing a little channel right here, about 1/2 inch down, about 2.5 inches wide. I have taken some twist tie material that I have and folded it into a 2.5 inch segment, and then I put it in here. I usually do about 4 links, so this is about 10 inches in total. Put it in here so it folds nicely over the bridge of the nose. All you have to do is place the mask over your ears, your nose. May need to adjust it a little bit depending on, where you want it. Bend it over your bridge of your nose, and there you go. Finished mace mask. Stay strong, Sycamores.